Now on Fox 50, snow spotted locally. The video our crew captured in the last hour as the wintry mix comes down.
And here's a look at where it is right now. Dual Doppler 5000 radar showing some light snow way up near the Virginia line, but a little bit of patchy rain that could be mixed with sleet moving into the triangle.
And tracking road conditions, the WRAL storm tracker is making its way through our northern counties where you may experience some slick spots. We'll let you know about any trouble spots we're seeing this morning.
Plus, back to Fort Bragg. This morning, hear the twist behind the renaming of the military installation just a year and a half after it changed. Following that story and others today on this WRAL Weather Alert Day, the big thing that we're talking about, weather. Thanks for joining us here. I'm Chris Levingood.
And I'm Michelle McConaughey. And heads up for some parents. Some schools are changing schedules today because of the chance for winter weather. Mecklenburg County, Virginia schools are closed. Other school systems in our northern counties are also delayed or remote. And for a complete list, you can find that on our website. That's WRAL.com.
And for your full forecast, obviously, or a little preview, I should say, of your forecast, Elizabeth has been tracking that with a dual Doppler 5000. And yeah, you see that snow on the map there.
Yeah, let's take a look at that again. We're going to head right up here on the cameras. We're seeing some snow right around Lake Gaston, up around South Hill and Warrenton. So this has been snow mixing with a little bit of rain, a little bit of sleet. But there's a little coating of snow there in Mecklenburg County, Virginia. That's starting to pull a little bit farther to the north. And so they're going to get a little break here. We are seeing a little light rain moving into Durham and Apex, headed on into Harnett County as well. I expect to see that light rain here in Raleigh probably within the next 20 to 30 minutes. Futurecast showing that rain lifting northward, but watch how it starts to fill in across the rest of the viewing area. That snow lifts on up into Virginia, but the rain starts to pick up in intensity and coverage as we get into the afternoon. So the evening commute and dinner time is going to be really wet and messy. We'll start to see that freezing rain or wintry mix line dipping a little farther south as we get into tonight. So that means that some of our northern counties could see a little icy glaze. That would most likely be freezing rain. And then tomorrow, we're looking at another just cold, wet day. So a couple of days of some fairly miserable conditions. Winter weather advisory for northern counties. We're in a storm warning up there into Virginia. Of course, we mentioned the fact that slick bridges are a possibility. It's not likely to be widespread because our temperatures are just too warm. We take a look at Warrenton, and in some places there was a little snow on the rooftops, but notice that the roads are just wet. 39 degrees in the Triangle area right now, and we'll hold it right about there through the remainder of the day. There's more rain to come. I'll show you how much we could see between now and Thursday, Ken.
8:02, Elizabeth, all new to the WO Traffic Center. I want to tell you about this crash right now on New Bern Avenue in the westbound lane near Traywick Road. We're not seeing any delays in the area, but just watch for some police activity. As we isolate the Beltline this morning, you can see congestion really building on that northern loop of the Beltline, starting coming off those I-87 southbound lanes on Capitol Boulevard. But once you get past Six Forks Road, you're in the clear. We're also seeing a similar delay on the southern loop of the Beltline, starting around Lake Wheeler Road. And that's where we give you a live look now this morning. I-40 and Lake Wheeler Road. You can see the bumper-to-bumper traffic, those westbound lanes moving away from us this morning. As far as the other major routes coming into the capital city, you're looking at a 10-minute delay if you're coming in from Wake Forest. So keep that in mind, our viewers up there in Wake Forest, if you're about to head out this morning. Now, in terms of the Bull City, all the major routes are delayed free except I-885. If you're leaving Durham this morning, you're looking at a 5-minute delay. If you're heading into Durham, you're looking at a 6-minute delay. So nothing that's necessarily going to make you late this morning. Laura Levine and photojournalist Charles Bradley just crossed over into Virginia, courtesy of the WRAL Storm Tracker. What are you seeing right now, Laura?
Hey, Ken, good morning. We just passed the Visitor Center here in Virginia, and if our producers are listening, let's go ahead and have our editors roll on this shot right now as we're traveling on I-85. You can see there is a snow plow in front of us as crews are working to clear the roads because we are seeing some light snow here in this area. I'll go ahead and give you another look from the top of the storm tracker. Here we go. We have a little rain there on. Let's see if we can clear that for you. There we go. Look at this shot where you can see the snow covering the sides there, the secondary parts of the road here. Of course, as we know, within the past 30 minutes, we also saw some snow in Owen. If we can get that video up now, just light flurries that we experienced there about, again, 30 minutes ago. We met some fantastic people out there. And then overnight, early this morning in Roxborough, we also saw some light snow flurries in the area. Take a listen to a local person there in Warren County in Owen who stopped us as we were covering the snow this morning.
Just is what it is. I mean, this God's work. You got to keep going.
How do you normally prepare when I'm sure you're heading to work maybe or
Right.
just traveling this morning? How do you normally prepare when you have to travel in conditions like this?
Well, you just got to prep for it. You get up and go. Working man can't stop.
Yeah. Yeah, working man can't stop. So people who obviously can't stay home today, they're doing what they can to take their time to head and get to their destinations. Of course, we're going to continue to give you live pictures of the conditions that we're seeing out here right now, again, in our northern counties. Laura Levine, WRAL News, live in Virginia.
And just before 2 o'clock this morning, the WRAL breaking news tracker got this video here of an SUV being towed from a crash. It happened on Pool Road in Raleigh near Hodge Road. You can see the vehicle's front end is badly damaged. We are working to learn if anyone was hurt in this crash and what caused it.
WRAL is also working to learn how severely injured someone is because police say a car hit them in Raleigh. This happened around 9 o'clock last night on South Saunders Street near the intersection of Carolina Pines Avenue. Police say the driver stayed on scene after hitting that person and that driver did cooperate with investigators. But it's unclear if charges will be filed in this case.
Covering Wake County today, a new tool to keep your kids safe in school is under review. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey joins us live from Wake School's headquarters in Cary. And Kelsey, the new Panic Button app is launching in less than a week.
Yes, Michelle, school board members will meet here in the next few hours to talk about implementing the Rave Panic Button app at schools district-wide. So you can see what that app looks like here. There are different options for what type of emergency is happening, including an active assailant or a fire. It's designed to help teachers notify 911, first responders, and administration during an emergency. More than 130 Wake County schools could be using the app by next week. Teachers in about 24 schools already have it as a part of a pilot program. Wake school leaders originally hoped to use the app district-wide at the start of the school year, but a software glitch pushed back that rollout.
My hope is that it doesn't become sort of a burden to staff, and they feel like it's of use to them and a good resource for them to use when there are safety concerns in their classroom or hallway or in their school.
The district-wide rollout is scheduled to start next Monday. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live in Cary.
The Secretary of Defense signed an order to rename Fort Liberty back to Fort Bragg, but with a slight twist. This time, the post will be named for a different Bragg. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth says the post will be named after Private First Class Roland L. Bragg. He served in the Army during World War II. It was previously named after Confederate General Braxton Bragg before the name was changed in 2023. The changes cost about $6.37 million last time, and it's unclear how much it'll cost this time to change it back to Fort Bragg.
Today, state lawmakers returned to Raleigh to consider more relief funding for victims of Hurricane Helene. A House committee is scheduled to meet to review a proposal for $500 million in additional spending. That's less than half the amount Governor Josh Stein proposed. Republican lawmakers in the chamber have taken a wait-and-see approach to relief, and they're hoping to make the most efficient use of their money.
Lawmakers are looking to fund small businesses, perhaps through grants, as well as private road repair and some other things that the federal government funding doesn't touch.
And the state Senate is also weighing its own proposal. Any new state funding for Helene victims would still need approval from lawmakers in the state House and Senate before reaching the governor. And for the latest on the Helene relief discussions, you can go to the NC Capitol section of WRAL.com.
This morning, an investigation is underway to determine what caused a deadly collision between a jet and a parked plane in Arizona. Let's show you the video here. It shows the moment of impact as the jet speeds down the runway at the Scottsdale airport. Investigators say the pilot was killed and the co-pilot was taken to the hospital. You see that moment again right here, that collision. Motley Crue singer Vince Neil owns the plane, and one of his spokespeople says that he is not on board. He was not on board. Investigators say it appears the plane veered off the runway after its main landing gear failed. This is just the latest aviation disaster in recent weeks, including the mid-air collision in D.C. and that crash in Philadelphia.
President Donald Trump's 25% tariffs on steel and aluminum imports are drawing a heated reaction from north of the border. President Trump signed the executive order last night, and Canada is a top supplier of steel and aluminum to the U.S. Trump has temporarily paused other 25% tariffs on Canadian goods, but many people in Canada are feeling economic uncertainty and anger.
We've seen a real resurgence from our customer base as they look to shop local and support Canadian brands. That's a huge movement right now.
Economists say the tariffs on steel and aluminum could have a major impact on industries including cars and construction.
Your time is 8:10. Map apps keeping you safe. We're going to explain how they work to keep drivers safe on slick winter roads and even help local agencies prepare before the ice even forms.
And a selfie as evidence. The photo FBI agents found showing 3 men posing with Joe Burrow's stolen jewelry.
And it's a WRAL weather alert day. Some light showers starting to move into the Triangle area and down toward Fayetteville. Some snow falling up into Virginia. I'll show you what you'll run into heading out the door.
Welcome back on your Tuesday morning. It's a WRAL weather alert day as we look live over Clinton. You can see the flag there really blowing in the distance. Cloudy there. Doesn't look like any rain is currently falling, but that is the case for some other areas. We have a camera at Dix Park. It looks like some rain is coming down there. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner tracking exactly where all of this precipitation is falling.
On this WRAL weather alert day, we are looking at 2 areas really with precipitation. Some wintry weather across the border into Virginia, and then a little bit of light patchy rain from Raleigh down toward Fayetteville. We're going to start here. We've been picking up some snow there around South Hill in particular, and we have Laura Levine in the storm tracker driving along I-85 right here, and I keep watching her. The farther north she goes, the snowier that road looks. But most of our roads are not snowy. We have seen a little bit of light patchy snow along the Virginia line and then across it. Nothing to worry about for Durham, Raleigh, Andrew. This is just going to be some light rain. Could be some sleet mixing in with it, but not anything that's going to cause any travel problems for us. Once we get into the afternoon, those chances for rain really start to climb. Chapel Hill, of course, has had a shower roll through, and it looks like maybe it's still falling just very lightly. It looks like the streets are definitely wet there. I'm going to be watching for some people to walk by, see if they have their raincoats or umbrella, because I think you would want to. Winter weather advisory for our northern counties. Winter storm warning for South Hill. There's a distinct difference between what's happening really in our northern counties versus what's happening up in Virginia. A good bit more snow there. We take a look at our temperatures and wind chill, and we're looking at 32 in South Hill and Rocky Mount, 34 in Goldsboro, 34 Fayetteville, 34 in Durham. So it feels really chilly out there. So you just want to note that for sure. We take a look at our commute planner, and we're looking at temperatures only in the upper 30s for this afternoon. More rain on the way for the next couple of days. We'll talk about how much coming up.
All right, happening now in the WRAL Traffic Center. Here's what we got. We're going to start in the northern counties this morning, particularly because we have Laura Levine and Charles Bradley up in the Virginia area because they're in the storm tracker this morning. Look at what we're talking about here. This is what they're seeing in Virginia. Keep in mind, this is Virginia in the northern county, just over the North Carolina-Virginia border. You can see the situation that they have going on there. So not the similar situation that we're seeing here locally, but keep that in mind. Just we'll keep checking in on them periodically. We've got a couple of crashes that we want to tell you about. Not really crashes, but one is a disabled vehicle. But this one is a crash on New Bern Avenue in the westbound lanes. We're not seeing any major delays in the area. We'll just watch for some police activity just to be on the safe side. There's a disabled vehicle on Fayetteville Road in the northbound lane there, Old Stage Road. Old Stage Road, a lot of you coming in from Southern Wake County use quite a bit, but that's the disabled vehicle is not going to affect you in any way whatsoever. In terms of those major routes coming into the capital city, you're looking at a 9-minute delay coming in from Wake Forest. Similarly, in Durham, all the major routes are delay-free, but we are seeing like a 3 to 4 minute delay if you're heading into Durham this morning. So you might want to keep that in mind, but that's not going to make you late. You're getting ready to head out the door. Tune us in on the radio, 101.5 HD3. You can listen to us anywhere in the Triangle.
President Donald Trump is urging Israel to cancel its ceasefire deal under one circumstance: if Hamas does not release more hostages by noon on Saturday as scheduled. Hamas says it will delay the release because it claims Israel has violated terms of the ceasefire. It says Israel has refused to allow aid into Gaza and is delaying people from returning. It also says Israel is continuing its shelling and its gunfire. And so Israel's defense minister says a delay in hostage releases is a, quote, complete violation of the ceasefire agreement, which President Donald Trump agrees to.
Saturday at 12 o'clock, and if they're not here, all hell is going to break out.
There have been growing concerns among both Israelis and Palestinians over whether this deal will hold.
And as Russia's war with Ukraine nears the 3-year mark, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says he is ready to negotiate. During an interview with a British news outlet, Zelensky said he is willing to negotiate with Russian President Vladimir Putin, but only if the U.S. and Europe continue to support Ukraine and, quote, provide security guarantees.
Today, the Senate is expected to confirm Tulsi Gabbard as the next director of national intelligence. The vote is on track to happen by midnight. The Senate voted on party lines yesterday to advance her nomination to an official vote. The director of national intelligence oversees the 18 agencies that comprise the U.S. intelligence community. That includes the CIA and National Security Agency. New photos show the 3 men accused of breaking into NFL player Joe Burrow's home, and they're posing with stolen items. Investigators found this selfie of the men with the jewelry and bags. The 3 Chilean men are facing federal charges of transporting stolen goods across state lines and falsifying records. Police believe they stole about $300,000 worth of items, and investigators say the men broke a window in the back of the house while security was in the driveway. The 3 men were arrested last month.
You'll want to listen to this before your next trip to Trader Joe's. The company has set a 1 dozen egg limit per day for customers because of the bird flu. A company spokesperson says this will help stores prevent empty shelves. Other grocery stores are also following suit. Costco is limiting customers to 3 packages of eggs. The Agriculture Department predicts the cost of eggs will increase 20% before the end of the year.
And just into the WRAL Live Center, the International Olympic Committee has announced that the first ever Olympic esports games will be held in 2 years in Saudi Arabia. Now, the IOC has been looking into esports for several years. It formed a commission specifically to find opportunities to tap into a younger generation involved with gaming and ultimately turn them into Olympic fans. Saudi Arabia, for its part, has invested billions of dollars in sporting events, including soccer, Formula One, boxing, and golf.
Our boss is to let me go cover that. We will find out on WRAL. No, I'm teasing. Experts say the data our cars collect can keep us safe on the slick roads like the ones that we may drive today. Ted Linder explains how this technology helps local agencies plan ahead for winter weather.
The winter months can trigger bouts of bad weather, making traveling dangerous.
Everybody dreads those ice storms.
And while those behind the wheel may need to take certain precautions, the navigating apps they use and/or computers built in the cars they drive may be collecting and sharing certain data, including their driving habits and locations. Civil engineering experts say it's being used in the name of safety, especially this season.
I'm asked quite often about what are connected vehicles. The most basic information is the position, velocity, and heading of the vehicle. And the reason that's important is everybody looks at Google Maps or Apple Maps and they know green is good, red is bad, and that is connected data at its most basic element, whether it comes in from a phone or whether it comes in from a car. We're at the point right now where about 5% of the cars in the United States are connected.
The data can be organized to show traffic patterns over specific time periods.
And the reason that's of so much value to a public agency is you can't afford the resources to manually go out and make those observations all over the place, whereas the cars are collecting that data.
And being able to track and predict congestion on roads during storms can help drivers make more informed decisions.
It provides us a tool to explain to the general public, here's the impact, and we can show speed slowing down, we can show periods of time where the road is totally closed, and then reopening.
Local officials can also better plan for when to send out plows and salt trucks ahead of peak travel times.
That was Ted Linder reporting. Super Bowl MVP Jalen Hurts got a special escort down Main Street in Disney World. You can see him there with Mickey at the center of the colorful parade in the Magic Kingdom. Meanwhile, the Eagles Super Bowl parade is set for this Friday, Valentine's Day. The time and other details have yet to be disclosed, but there is a threat of severe weather, including the chance for a snowstorm there today.
Luka Doncic is a winner in his debut with the LA Lakers. The superstar played 24 minutes in his first game with the team after the blockbuster trade that brought him to LA last week. He scored 14 points as the Lakers eased him into the lineup. He helped his new team get a big win over the Utah Jazz.
Your time is 8:22. Back to Bragg. The name Fort Liberty didn't last long. This morning, what we know about the Post's new name change and how local leaders feel about it.
And we're tracking snow with the WRAL storm tracker moving through our northern counties. We'll let you know how crews have prepared the roads ahead of today's wintry mix.
Stay safe with the latest WRAL Weather Alert Day info. Get up to the minute weather and traffic conditions when you get in your car. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM, in Durham 96.5 FM, and everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
Good morning and happy Tuesday. Time now is 8:26. I'm Michelle McConaughey. It's a WRAL Weather Alert Day. Let's get right over to meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner.
Let's check it out. We have a little bit of rain that's rolling through Raleigh all the way down toward Fayetteville, and then some snow that fell across right here, right across the line heading into Virginia. You get into South Hill, Virginia, and into Mecklenburg County. It's a whole different story. There's some snow coating the ground there. But again, from Rolesville to Raleigh to Clayton to Anger, Benson, Dunn, we're seeing some light showers right now. Our rain chances will increase this afternoon. It is going to be a very wet, kind of miserable afternoon. Already we're seeing some showers here in downtown Raleigh from our Jimmy V cam. And I love this photo up near Lake Gaston. Look at that light dusting of snow. Thanks to Dave Mikowski for sending us that. It's chilly as you're heading out the door. Temperatures are in the mid to upper 30s, but feeling more like low to mid 30s with the wind chill. It will feel like 30s all afternoon, Ken.
Elizabeth, we're seeing wet road conditions out there as that light rain begins to move into Wake County and surrounding communities, as traffic beginning to pick up on most of our major routes. We do want to keep it in the northern counties, particularly over the county line in Virginia. That's where we find our WRAL storm tracker. In South Hill, you can see snow is coating the ground. We'll check in with Laura Levine and Charles Bradley in just a little bit at the bottom of the hour over on Fox 50. But really and truly, we're just seeing traffic really building up on the northern loop of the Beltline as well as the southern loop of the Beltline, particularly also US 1 coming in from Apex. I'll have an update at the bottom of the hour over on Fox 50.
Thanks, Ken. Wake County school leaders will discuss the new panic button and other safety measures today. A committee plans to talk about a new security advisory board made up of students. They'll also hear an update on next week's rollout of the Rave panic button app for staff members. We'll have more news, weather, and traffic over on Fox 50. Right now on Fox 50, snow spotted locally. The video our crews captured this morning as the wintry mix continues to come down.
And we'll check in with Dual Doppler 5000 radar. A little bit of light rain here in the triangle and then some snow across the border into Virginia. I'll show you what the rest of the day will look like.
Plus, tracking road conditions. The WRAL storm tracker is keeping an eye on any trouble spots that are wet and cold this morning.
Plus, panic button plans. The discussions happening today to keep your kids safe in Wake County schools. We'll talk about it coming up. Thanks for joining us here on Fox 50. I'm Michelle McConaughey.
And I'm Chris Levingood. And just a heads up for you parents who are watching, some schools are changing schedules today because of the chance for winter weather. Mecklenburg County, Virginia schools are closed. Other school systems in our northern counties are delayed or even remote. But you can find a complete list on WRAL.com.
And let's get over to meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner, tracking all of the rain and the mixed precipitation very closely. It looks like some coming through Raleigh right now.
We do have this little band here in Wake County stretching down almost toward Fayetteville. Most of that's rain, but don't be surprised at any point this morning if it's mixing with a little bit of sleet. We head on up toward the Virginia line, and we've got a coating of snow here, as much as a half an inch or so in some parts of Virginia. We've seen some light dusting of snow here along our northern counties, some of that mixing with some rain and with some sleet as well. We head back down here to the the south. Again, Raleigh, Rollsville, Clayton, about to move into Smithfield, moving through Benson and Dunn. Just a little batch of light rain, but that will increase as we get through the day. We'll pause it right there around lunchtime. Notice how the coverage of rain begins to increase, and it will be a wet evening commute. Once we get into tonight, the line of wintry mix will start to shift a little farther south. It's still mainly going to stay up near the Virginia line, but that could produce a little bit of light glazing, a little bit of freezing rain. And then we have more rain in the forecast for Wednesday, so it's a very wet pattern for us. We do have a winter weather advisory and winter storm warning there for South Hill up until 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, because we may continue to see some of that during the afternoon. Slick bridges are a possibility on up into Virginia. We've seen a little bit of snow on the roads, but for much of our viewing area, this is not going to be an issue. It's just going to be cold and wet, Ken.
8:32, Elizabeth. Wet road conditions around here, but in Virginia, South Hill in particular, much different scenario. That's where we find Laura Levine and photographer Charles Bradley in the WRAL Storm Tracker, giving us a look at a snowy South Hill, Virginia. Good morning, Laura.
South Hill is waking up with snow-covered roads and surfaces. Taking a live look now, you can see the roads here pretty slick and icy as well. We can see just the grass is covered in snow. It's really beautiful out here. We aren't seeing a lot of heavy traffic, and I was just speaking to a couple of local people at a donut shop. They tell us that it's been pretty quiet unless you really, really have to go to work. A lot of people here know to just stay home and stay off the road. So if you are in this area, just take it easy. Take your time if you're traveling out here. We're going to make our way now back home, unfortunately, back to the Triangle, and give you some live pictures of how things are looking there over the course of the next hour or so. But here in Virginia, again, just a lot of snow out here this morning.
All right, Laura, as you make your way back to Wake County, you'll be encountering some wet road conditions, as we can see from the Doppler 5000. A couple of accidents we want to bring attention to. This crash on New Bern Avenue in the westbound lane near Treywick Road, not causing any problems for you this morning. Just be careful navigating that intersection. There was a disabled vehicle right here on Fayetteville Road and Old Stage Road that's just been cleared. Not a problem for you to worry about. In terms of major routes, I mentioned that traffic is beginning to pick up on a lot of our major routes, particularly US 1 coming in from Apex. You're looking at an 8-minute delay and a 7-minute delay coming in from Wake Forest. So give yourself some extra time, particularly if you're coming into the capital city. In the Bowl City, very little to no delays except for the I-40 westbound. You're looking at an 8-minute delay. And if you're going in and out of Durham this morning, you're leaving Durham, you're looking at a 4-minute delay. You're going into Durham, you're looking at a 2-minute delay. But we'll keep that, but nothing really that's going to make you late. You're getting ready to head out the door this morning. Tune us in on the radio, 101.5 HD3. We'll keep you updated.
Just before 2 o'clock this morning, the WRAL Breaking News Tracker took this video of an SUV being towed after a crash. This happened on Pool Road in Raleigh near Hodge Road. You'll notice that the vehicle's front end is badly damaged. And we are working to learn if anyone was injured in that crash and what caused this.
Police say a person was hurt after they were hit by a car in Raleigh. This happened around 9 o'clock last night on South Saunders Street near the intersection of Carolina Pines Avenue. Police say the driver stayed on the scene and cooperated with investigators. Police have not said if any charges will be filed.
Covering Wake County, today a new tool to keep your child safe in school is under review. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey tells us that the new Panic Button app is launching in less than a week.
School board members will meet here in the next few hours to talk about implementing the next steps to put the Rave Panic Button app in schools district-wide. Now, this is what that app looks like, and you can see here that there are different options for what type of emergency to select, like an active assailant or a fire. It's designed to help teachers notify 911, first responders, and administration during an emergency. More than 130 Wake County schools could be using the app by next week. Teachers in about 24 schools already have it as a part of a pilot program. Wake school leaders originally hoped to use the app district-wide at the start of the school year, but a software glitch pushed back that rollout. Janae Powell works at a charter school in a neighboring county. She says Wake County's experience with the app could help other districts decide whether to use it themselves.
All of the things that we have going on, whether that be politically or just like not having access to a school nurse like our school, I think this could be a helpful thing once, all of the kinks are worked out.
The district-wide rollout is scheduled to begin next Monday. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News in Cary.
And this morning, we're hearing more reaction to the news that Fort Liberty's name will be changing back to Fort Bragg. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth says the post will now be named after Private First Class Roland L. Bragg, who served in the Army during World War II. It was previously named after Confederate General Braxton Bragg before the name was changed in 2023. And Congressman Richard Hudson, whose district includes the post, celebrated the news on social media, saying Fort Bragg is back. Thank you, Secretary of Defense. And Congressman Pat Harrigan also welcomed the announcement. He posted, Fort Bragg always was, always will be. Both Hudson and Harrigan are Republicans. And Fayetteville Mayor Mitch Colvin, a Democrat, was surprised by the move. In a statement, he said it seems to contradict the administration's commitment to efficiency and cost savings. Furthermore, the renaming process, which included Gold Star families who felt Liberty was a true reaction of what our servicemen and women defend day in and day out.
Republican Jefferson Griffin plans to appeal a Wake County court ruling in the race for state Supreme Court. He wants the court to throw out roughly 65,000 ballots from the November election. He says these should not have been counted for various reasons. After multiple recounts, Griffin is losing to Democrat incumbent Allison Riggs by roughly 700 votes. She released a statement saying she knew this was going to be a long fight.
Today, a Durham Public Schools employee is accused of assaulting an 8-year-old boy who has a disability. They're expected in court. Lakita Wilson was arrested on Friday. She was an after-school staff worker at Pearsonstown Elementary School. She's accused of hitting and pushing the boy, pinning him to the floor and putting pressure against his neck. She's facing charges including felony child abuse and aggravated assault. She resigned from her job in October.
Today, state lawmakers return to Raleigh to consider more relief funding for victims of Hurricane Helene. A House committee is scheduled to meet to review a proposal for $500 million in additional spending. Now, that's less than half the amount Governor Josh Stein proposed. Republican lawmakers in the chamber have taken a sort of wait-and-see approach to relief. The state Senate is also weighing its own proposal.
Today, Raleigh City Council will get an update on the county's bus rapid transit plan. Staff will give a project update on the 4 corridors that are planned. Work has already started on the New Bern Avenue corridor, and others plan to connect downtown Raleigh with North Raleigh, Cary, and Garner. City Council will talk about the project during a work session that starts at 4 o'clock this afternoon.
In just 3 weeks, I-40 from the Tennessee line all the way to mile marker 20 through the Pigeon River Gorge will finally reopen. The portion of that road closed since Hurricane Helene hit, and the interstate suffered 10 collapses over a 9-mile span. People who live in the area say the closure there, well, it increased their commute time by hours. The roadway was scheduled to reopen to drivers last month, but that changed when a portion of the newly paved road fell during mid-December.
It's a big economic week, and we'll likely get an update on the outlook for interest rates and inflation. And this morning, Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell is set to testify before the Senate Banking Committee. It's his first congressional appearance since President Trump was inaugurated last month. Powell will likely cover the new tariff policies. It comes as 2 key reports are set to come out this week: the Consumer Price Index and the Producer Price Index. Those will also clue us into how inflation rates are changing.
Your time is 8:39. Gulf of America, it's now on the map. After President Trump made the change, Google is following suit. We'll tell you the next change you'll likely notice on your map apps.
And a welcome home surprise. The massive black bear one California man came home to after evacuating from the wildfires.
And a winter storm north of here, but some patchy sleet and freezing rain in parts of our area. We're getting you a live look at Warrenton this morning. Kind of a dreary day. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner will tell us which counties are under a winter weather advisory in just a bit. Getting you a live look this morning at Lake Gaston. You know what? We've been focusing a lot on our northern viewing area, seeing the snow. We can see it right here, clearly on the dock there as you're watching WRAL News on this WRAL Weather Alert Day. Elizabeth Gardner has been tracking that very closely today. So, Elizabeth, when can we see all this kind of just move on out of here?
Friday?
Oh, that's days from now.
That's not the answer that you wanted, but it's kind of the truth. We take a look at dual Doppler 5000 radar. A little patch of rain just moved through the triangle. Notice another one redeveloping here now that near the Sandhills. That's going to move through. All of this will start to really increase in coverage as we get into the afternoon. Let's jump on up here to the northern part of the viewing area. Pretty much it's over for the moment, but there was a little light coating of snow right here along the Virginia line. And as folks moved on up into Virginia, it was a little more than a light coating, as much as half an inch, maybe an inch. Some of it sticking to the roads there, but we haven't seen that in really on the North Carolina side of that line. Here's a look at Futurecast. A little light shower from Raleigh to Smithfield, headed toward Rocky Mount, Wilson, and Goldsboro. So be prepared for that one. It's going to move in and out pretty quickly. Futurecast, of course, continues to lift the snow to the north. It's likely to be some rain during the afternoon, even up around Roxboro and South Hill and Warrenton. And then overnight, we start to see the cooler temperatures. That line will slip a little farther south, but from Roxboro to South Hill to Warrenton, it's likely to be a little bit of freezing rain overnight. Notice the rainfall. I mean, it just keeps on coming. It really starts to pick up right around or just after lunchtime. It continues all night long and into the day of Wednesday. We may start to see it tapering off a little bit during Wednesday afternoon, but we got a lot of rain coming our way. Because of the potential for a little freezing rain overnight tonight, we do have the winter weather advisory and winter storm warning in effect until 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. What we're seeing right now is just some light rain moving in and out of the viewing area. That wintry mix is pretty much stopped up near the Virginia line. The rain starts to pick up in intensity this afternoon, and it continues overnight with that potential for some ice near the Virginia line. There's another look at Lake Gaston. The tops of the boathouse and the dock there covered in just a light coating of snow. It wasn't a whole lot, and it's stopped for now. It is 39 degrees currently, but it's also been a little breezy, so there's a wind chill. It feels like 30 in Southern Pines, 32 in Rocky Mount, feels like the upper 20s up near the Virginia line. Around town for today, temperatures are going to hold right here in the upper 30s to right around 40 degrees. And overnight tonight, we're going to keep it close to freezing up near the Virginia line and mid 30s elsewhere. Meteorologist Chris Michaels is here talking a little bit about why we didn't end up seeing snow across more of the viewing area.
Yeah, the temperature is a big limiting factor, not just here at the ground level, but up above. This is actually raw data from the weather balloon that was launched this morning out of Greensboro. Everything to the right is above freezing. Everything to the left is below freezing. So you have snow that falls. It melts within this layer. Pardon me. Then it refreezes into a little bit of sleet, but even down at the surface, we're in the upper 30s now. So even those ice pellets are just melting into plain old rain. So it's that little bit of a mix. The other thing that we've had limiting any kind of accumulation is just how warm we've been over the past 2 weeks. Our average high's been in the 60s. Our average low has been in the 40s. That's more typical of late January, early February in San Antonio, Texas. So we're really getting bailed out here. When you look at road temperatures, they're anywhere between 35 and 40 degrees. But if you plan on heading farther north into Virginia, it is turning pretty messy up there, hence all the winter storm warnings that they have in the Commonwealth. Elizabeth? Thanks,
Chris. This time of year, it can be really hard to keep up with, what's going on. But boy, back in January, when it was really cold, that's when we had that snow that stuck in a lot of places. Looking at a cold rain this afternoon and tomorrow, some thunderstorms on Thursday. Our next best chance for sunshine comes on Valentine's Day.
All right, thank you, Elizabeth. 2 planes carrying nearly 200 people deported from the United States landed in Venezuela. The deportations comes after Trump's envoy Richard Grenell met with Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. They talked about returning Venezuelans to their home country after they entered the U.S. illegally. Venezuelans are currently one of the largest nationalities entering the country illegally.
And right now in the WRAL Live Center, Pope Francis is speaking up about the Trump administration's mass deportation of migrants. The Pope warning that the forceful removal of people purely because of their illegal status deprives them of their inherent dignity and, quote, will end badly. Francis addressed the U.S. migrant crackdown in a letter to U.S. bishops today. He appeared to take direct aim at Vice President J.D. Vance's defense of the deportation program on theological grounds. Pope Francis has long made caring for migrants a priority with his global platform.
You'll notice something different on your Google Maps soon. What was the Gulf of Mexico is now labeled the Gulf of America. The change is now visible for all users in the United States. For users in Mexico, they'll still see the name Gulf of Mexico, but people in other countries will see both names. Google says it changes labels on its maps after they are updated in official government sources. The Trump administration did that on Sunday. Google says it also plans to follow another name change, relabeling Alaska's Denali as Mount McKinley.
This morning, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth is beginning a week-long European trip. Today, he's in Germany. He'll meet with senior military leaders and service members at U.S. European Command and U.S. Africa Command headquarters. He will also attend a NATO meeting in Belgium. After that, he'll go to Poland to meet with American service members there.
This week marks 10 years since 3 Muslim college students were murdered in their home in Chapel Hill. Dia Barakat, his wife Yusra Abasala, and her sister Razan each was shot to death at their apartment in Chapel Hill. That was in 2015. Their neighbor Craig Hicks pleaded guilty to that murder, and prosecutors called it a hate crime against Muslims. Both UNC and NC State will screen a documentary examining the 2015 murders, followed by a panel discussion. The screening at UNC is tonight at 6:30. It'll be hosted by the UNC Muslim Association in the Great Hall. The event at NC State is tomorrow at 7 in the Witherspoon Auditorium.
Elon Musk is leading a group of investors in an offer to buy control of OpenAI for nearly $98 billion. This comes as Musk is in the midst of a legal battle with the company and its CEO, Sam Altman. Following the news, Altman wrote on X, "No thank you, but we will buy Twitters for $9.74 billion if you want." Musk replied, calling him a swindler and scam Altman. Musk and Altman were 2 of OpenAI's co-founders in 2015. Musk now has a competitor in the AI market, a startup called xAI. He is suing OpenAI, accusing it of antitrust violations and to try and keep it from converting into a for-profit corporation.
The DOJ ordered all charges against New York City Mayor Eric Adams to be dismissed. The order is for all charges, including bribery and wire fraud. Officials say the dismissal is without prejudice, meaning charges could be refiled in the future. A motion to dismiss will also be reviewed by a judge, and Adams has pleaded not guilty on this. T-Mobile is testing out satellite messaging through Starlink, and you don't even need to be a T-Mobile customer to try this. The goal is to allow anyone with an iPhone or an Android to text in the most remote parts of the country. The network currently only works for texting in dead zones. The service is open to beta testing for free until July. After the testing period, T-Mobile customers on the highest plans can use the service for free. Other customers can pay an additional $15 per month to use this.
Movie theaters are about to get a little more magical. David Daniel has that and more in today's Hollywood Minute.
Dear Mr. Potter, you have been accepted at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry.
The Boy Who Lived is coming back to the big screen. The first 4 Harry Potter movies are returning to theaters as part of Fathom Entertainment's Fathom Fan Favorite series. Screenings begin Thursday. Check fathomentertainment.com for locations and showtimes.
It's great to have the freedom.
Ben Stiller is putting the band together. He's set to star in the HBO music industry dramedy The Band as a scandal-plagued pop impresario trying to save his career by forming a new act. Stiller is also on board as an executive producer of the show.
See, Shells, you got anything more boutique?
The Muppets rock the Super Bowl. YouTube says Booking.com's ad featuring Jim Henson's Muppets and other would-be vacationers was Sunday's most viewed Super Bowl spot. Glenn Powell as Goldilocks starred in the runner-up ad, jumping a volcano for Ram trucks. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Kendrick Lamar's Song of the Year and infamous Drake diss track just might be perfect for saving lives. According to the American Heart Association, Lamar's song, Not Like Us, has the right tempo, 101 beats per minute, to perform hands-only CPR. The nonprofit organization recommends that people practice at home with a pillow or mannequin to the beat of the song so they are prepared in the event of an emergency.
A man returned to his Southern California home after evacuating last month to find a new friend there. A massive 525-pound black bear living beneath the home. The bear survived the wildfires as he hid in the Altadena home's crawl space. Neighbors said they knew the bear even before this, even has a name, Barry. They described him as a mellow bear who minded his own business, and state conservationists were able to lure Barry from the crawl space and took him to a forest. We got to check on traffic and weather in just a second. We'll see you in a minute.